Welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide, sorting through podcasts so you don't have to. I'm Andy Smiley, and I want to help you discover the right podcast without having to listen to an entire episode. Now, let's talk podcasts. Hello, everyone. If math had a mascot, it would be Pam Harris. She is the host of the podcast I'm talking about this week called Math is Figure Outable. She and her co-host Kim help teachers learn how to teach math in a way that is easier and more applicable, and I am completely here for it. Here are some details about the show. The show description is math teacher educator Pam Harris and her co-host Kim Montague answer the question, if not algorithms, then what? Join them for about 15 minutes every Tuesday as they cast their vision for mathematics education and give actionable items to help teachers teach math that is figure outable. The length of each episode is about 20 minutes long, and it is completely kid ear friendly. It is an ongoing show with new episodes available on Tuesdays. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we're going to take a quick break to talk about bookshop.org. Bookshop.org is a great way for you to buy books online, but also support local bookstores, which I feel like we all want to do. We all love our local indie bookstore, but we don't always have the wherewithal to go to an indie bookstore with all of our children in tow. That is where bookshop.org comes in. You can find a specific local bookstore that you would like to support, and they will receive the full profit off of your order. Or your order will contribute to an earnings pool that will be evenly distributed among independent bookstores. You can see some of my favorite books for me and for my kiddos by going to my affiliate link at bookshop.org/shop/FPG. I'll also put the link in the show notes, so if you just want to go over and click there, you can too. Now we get to hear from Pam as she helps us all realize that math isn't as scary as we think it is. Today we get to talk to Pam Harris, and I am so excited.
Woohoo! Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. First of all, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Pam, and I teach math teachers. So my gig in the world is to try to change the way that we teach and think and perceive mathematics and ourselves as budding mathematicians.
I love that. I feel like math can be scary, but it doesn't have to be.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Just like we sort of expect all kids to be able to read, like that's just an expectation, right? Everybody can read. Everybody can do what I call real math. Not everybody does great at school math, or sometimes I even refer to it as fake math. But everybody can do real math. We just need to know it's a thing and actually do that thing.
I love that. So you do a podcast called Math is Figure Outable. You got to tell me, how did this podcast come to be? Why did you start it?
Well, some people kind of chuckle a little bit at figure outable because it's about math. It's about doing things with figures. And so people will, kind of laugh a little bit. Oh, figure outable. Of course, that's a, cute, catchy way, but it's actually really purposeful because I think a lot of us went to school and learned that math was this different thing, that it was more rote memorizable. And so teachers gave us the rule, and then they gave us the steps to do, and we were supposed to memorize those and then mimic the teacher. And that's what we got credit for in math class. And my message is that that's not actually real math. That's sort of the school math procedural thing, but that we can actually teach the math that we're supposed to teach, but in a completely different way, and get kids to do what mathematicians do. So similar to when we teach kids to read, they read. When we teach kids to write, they write. Well, when we teach kids to do math, they should do like real math, like actually do the thing that we need a verb for that. So we make up this verb called mathematize. And
that's awesome.
Or sometimes people will say, we need kids to math. Like they need to actually do what mathematicians do. And that's a thing. Like we actually can do that. Who knew? So it's fun. So my podcast, I think is what you asked, is to try to get that message out. I want to free people up from thinking that they aren't good at math, can't do math. I also want to free teachers up. Not all, but often teachers were the ones who sort of followed the steps. They did the rules. They kind of did what they were asked to do in school. And so because of that, they were doing an awful lot of that school procedural math. And so I kind of free them up, empower them to do math more like a mathematician, and then therefore teach that way. And then we can get more kids doing math and doing real math.
Definitely. That, Yeah, I feel like when you teach a teacher, you're not just teaching a teacher, right? You're teaching everyone that they're teaching,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which magnifies very quickly.
Let's impact the whole world. Let's get
Yes.
everybody doing it. Yeah.
So I feel like you've touched on it, but if you want to dig a little deeper, I would love to. What do you want people that listen to your podcast to get out of it?
In a huge way, I want people to leave enthusiastic and excited and energized and empowered. I really want people to realize that they can think and reason mathematically and therefore help their students or their own kids. We have a lot of parents that are listening, a lot of homeschool parents are listening, that they can be empowered not only to think like a mathematician themselves, but to also help their students, their own children think and reason like mathematicians. And we almost always do a little math. So you should leave like going, wow, I actually did. I was able to do that. That's kind of cool.
That is fun. So you're using words like positive and empowering and exciting. Would you consider that's kind of like the vibe or the feeling of your show?
Well, I certainly hope so. I want math to be figure outable, and I want people to leave really knowing that that they're empowered and they are excited and energized. So yeah, I hope the vibe is fun. Well, and let me add a word of intrigue. Like I want students to be intrigued by the patterns and the relationships that they can use to solve problems. Nobody's intrigued by mimicking something that someone shows you to do. Nobody's intrigued by, let me give you this rule and now you just like do that's not fun. It's not intriguing, but we can actually get kids really interested and intrigued in this actual real math that they can do.
Definitely. Well, and it sounds like you're helping kids, teachers, well, everyone use their brains, right? Instead of just memorizing, you're like working your brain instead of just trying to remember how to like plug things in or something like that.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to take and run and do math more for the rest of your life, no problem. But at least you have the choice.
True.
And that's huge, right? We want people to have this. How many people do you know that have let school math limit the choices that they made in life? My husband, for example, wanted to be an architect and he couldn't hack the math. And so he's done other things. He's done some amazing things, but he's always just sort of like, I really wanted to have done that, but I couldn't because that gateway of math was closed. I want to open that. I want to throw open the gateway wide. And then let people choose. So I'm not going to force anybody to do more math than they want to, but boy, they're going to have the choice.
I love that. So I feel like it's probably obvious, but is your podcast kid ear friendly?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite episode or a couple of episodes that come to mind?
So since your podcast, Andy, thank you for having me on, is kind of for general listeners, maybe I'll throw out one that would make sense for a general listener to be the first one that they would try. Sure. It's episode 55, and it is specifically for parents. Now, it doesn't have to be parents. It could be administrators. It could be really anybody who's kind of like what's happening in schools today? Why are they changing the way we teach math? And that episode is our attempt to tell that story clearly, briefly. It's a 11 and a half minute episode. It's very succinct. And in that 11 and a half minutes will really give you a good idea of why and how we could teach math differently and what sort of is the controversy of kind of new math and where it doesn't really have to be, but then you can really understand sort of what's happening with math teaching today.
Cool. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Is there anything you want to add that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, if we have time, I'd like to just do an example so that people can go like, what is she talking about? And it's going to be it's a little bit of a young example. So we could do a calculus example, but for today, I'm just going to say, if I were to ask you a question, like what is 99 plus anything, like pick a random ugly 2-digit number, like 57. If I were just to say, what's 99 and 57, so many of us have learned, okay, what we're supposed to do is line those numbers up and then look at the digits and only think about sort of single digits. When in reality, if I just ping on some prior knowledge a little bit, 99,
100.
You're just dying, right? You can't stop yourself from saying 99, 100. And so if I could think about 99 plus 57 as 99, 100, well, I've already added 1 to get to that 100. What do I have left? We're supposed to add 57, but I've already added 1. So I still have 56 to add. So now here's the
Sure.
hard part. Here's the hard part. What is 156? And I'm smiling.
156.
Yeah, bam. And if you right now thought, whoa, like, can we add all numbers that way? The answer is yes-ish. There's some major relationships I would build so that you could add all numbers, thinking and reasoning.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing. I love that because it's true. Math, that kind of math is totally figure outable. So where can people find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me at Instagram at Pam Harris Math. You can find me at Facebook at Pam Harris Mathematics Author. And you can find me on Twitter at PW Harris. Those are the 3 places I hang out. I'd love to chat with anybody about math and math education.
Perfect. Oh, and remind me what your co-host name is so we can say thank you to her too.
Kim Montague is my fabulous co-host. She was my kids' teacher, and she's amazing. And I'm thoroughly grateful that she will co-host with me because it's the only way that anybody could ever get me to actually sit down in one place and do a podcast. So it's fabulous. It's just great.
Is awesome. Well, thank you both for making a math podcast that is exciting. And I can't wait to share this podcast with my listeners.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to hear from me about more podcasts, please follow or subscribe on your podcast app of choice. And just a reminder, if you want to buy books online and support local bookstores, you can by using bookshop.org/shop/FPG. Talk to you soon.
So you might also think about what's 99 times anything. So like if I'm thinking about 99 47s, like 99 times 47, can I think about 147s?
Oh.
And then we just need one less 47. And then we'd have to do a little subtraction work. But anyway, there's a cool thing.
Wow.
All right. So yeah.
Wait, 99, that
Right?
does floor me because that one sounds way more scary. 99 times something sounds scary, but
I mean, it's a lot of work with that traditional algorithm. That's a lot of work. But if I just 147s is 4,700.
Right.
But I only need 99 47s. So if I'm going to get rid of one group of 47, then I have to do 4,700 minus 47.
And then you're done.
And that's just 46. What's the partner to 100? 53. Bam! And you're done.
That's amazing.